48.
Sedano and Spain. There you go. Allison Felix' crowning achievement. And wait. You thought we were done with this. Put your fingers like this. Let me see a little lip with the Italian Renaissance on the track. Paisan Lamont in the men's 4x100. Has the country ever won the Euros, won the men's 100 and 100 relay, and been the ancestral home of the Muter? Have they ever? They have now. We'll get to it later. NFL news of the day, and it's big. Josh Allen's extension with the Buffalo Bills, making him the second highest paid quarterback in NFL history. That's behind Patrick Mahomes, but guarantee-wise maybe ahead of Patrick Mahomes, depending on how you do your math. Comes out to $43 million a season. Payday for Josh Allen. National Paladin. Here's the question, all right? Of all the quarterbacks without a ring, that takes out Mahomes, Rodgers, Wilson, and Brady, and Flacco and Foles, is Josh Allen the quarterback you most build around? Tim Cowlishaw, around the horn to you.
I think I'm going to say yes. Let me get it straight first, though. A quarterback can play for 3 years, establish himself, and you can go ahead and pay him rather than drag it out for 2 years and supply ESPN with daily programming. Is that how that works? That's good to know for future reference.
Jones.
Now, having said that, his competition would be Dak Prescott, it would be Lamar Jackson, and it would be some of the young guys we don't know enough about for me to put them on the list. And while Dak's been more consistent, Josh Allen's year last year, I think, was the best. It was as good as Lamar's MVP year, and I just think there's more to count on with Josh Allen. If he can repeat it, he took a big leap last year. His numbers his first 2 years were nothing like last year's. I'd like to see him do it again, but if he can, he's going to be the best of that group.
Same question to you, George. Of all the QBs without a ring, is he the one you build around?
He's certainly in the conversation. I don't think there's any question about this, Tony. And look, I spent a lot of nights, here on the West Coast watching him when everyone was talking about how, hey, this kid could be a first-round pick. And I'm watching him at Wyoming. I'm like, he can't even complete 50% of his passes in some of these games. How is this guy going to be a franchise quarterback? Woo. And boy, were we wrong about all that, including myself. But here's the guy I'm going to go with. I'm going to pull a Bill Plaschke here. I'm going to go Justin Herbert, the Rookie of the Year last year. Okay. He has the most touchdowns and the most completions for a rookie all-time in the NFL. So if I'm going to go with a guy with a downtrodden franchise, much like the Bills, I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Listen to George Sedano. Now, you walked into a banned word at the start of that argument, so now you're in the negative. Sarah Spain, of all the quarterbacks without a ring, is Josh Allen the one you build around?
First of all, George, don't apologize on my behalf because I've been high on Josh Allen for a long time. So he might have proved you wrong. But he's doing what some of us saw in his abilities. Now, to Tim's point, he's had the biggest bump in year 3 performance of any quarterback in modern history. His completion percentage went up 13%. He had 8 300-yard games last season without having any before that. He had a touchdown interception ratio that was completely opposite of what we saw early on. So because of that, we want to see that repeated. We want to know that wasn't something that is going to be harder to follow up once other teams know what they're getting and can prepare for him and for Beasley and the other additions that he had. But I look at the kind of player he is, and to the point of someone like Lamar Jackson, incredible player, but something about Josh Allen feels to me like that prototypical guy. You get the right pieces around him and you're going to win a lot.
Justin Tinsley, how about you?
Initially I really wanted to say quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson, but of course, his legal drama makes that impossible. And Lamar Jackson, a former MVP, but Lamar's lack of ability to throw a deep ball is kind of a concern. And I guess I would go with Josh Allen. This guy had 4,500 passing yards, I believe 35 passing touchdowns, and 5 rushing touchdowns. That's the first time in NFL history this has ever happened. And since he got in the league in 2018, no one has more passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns in the same game than Josh Allen. Now, if there is something that does concern me about Josh Allen, over the last 3 seasons, he's been contacted 302 times, and he only trails Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson. So now that you're worth $250 million, let's not get hit as much. But the question I do have, how many tables in Buffalo were sacrificed for this? There's a lot of tables.
Sedano, back in. Pick up the pieces of your argument.
Tony, I would just add that I'm sure there's a couple of other guys that'd like to weigh in on this, which is Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield's agents, right? Because they're also 2 guys that are waiting on these extensions, and we've heard specifically from Baker's agent that they want to get this done ASAP.
Cowlishaw, last word.
I just think the biggest thing I worry about with Josh Allen is he plays in the AFC, and Patrick Mahomes seems like he wants to win all the AFC championships going forward. They're going to have to find a way to break through on that, but I think whether it's this year or not, I think they will.
Josh Allen getting paid, which was not the storyline in the NFL's offseason among free agents, right? Salary cap dropped by 20%, and that segues us to this next story because that was noticed by a certain player in the league that the salary cap dropped, and the deal, the new media was announced after the salary cap dropped, came the day after. NFL players wake up. NFL players are ignorant. Tom Brady is the man who was unfiltered, mincing no words, talking about how the league was making money, but the players were losing money. He then deleted the post. So while he was criticizing the NFLPA, here's another player criticizing the NFLPA, a theme here, Jimmy Graham, talking about being basically forced into getting the vaccine, so now he's confused because now he can be fined with the way the COVID protocol plays out going forward if he misses a test. Tim Cowlishaw, these are two premier players in the league calling out the Players Association. So let me ask, what position are NFL players in? Can they feel frustrated like these two?
I think there's a lot of frustration for different reasons, but Tom Brady, who usually gets everything right on the field and he gets everything right on Twitter and on Instagram, I think he got this one all wrong and forgot, look, salary caps are year to year. They're based on last year's revenues. 28 stadiums sat empty last year. Revenues went way down. Of course, the cap is going to go down. If we have a normal attendance year, it's going to go skyrocketing back up. The average, as far as what Forbes does, that's like your house being worth more. You can take advantage of that when you sell the house, but until then, you're just paying higher taxes. So it's really not that big a deal. But Jimmy Graham, I think, is right about some of the frustrations around the COVID policy that has been all over the map. And so I can see where he's coming from.
Dara Spain.
Yeah, I'll focus on Jimmy Graham for this. I don't think he's right in the sense that it's wrong for the league to apply these penalties, but his frustration is understandable. For a lot of us, we feel this way. We've done all the right things. We've gotten vaccinated. We've worn masks. We stay at home. We did the things to protect ourselves and others, and we were promised that things would get better, which they did for a while. Unfortunately, that's not how pandemics work. You can't predict everything, and different variants and increasing severity of responses to those variants are forcing us into taking back some of the advancements that we've made in our fight with this pandemic. So while it's understandable, I hope that he and the rest of the players are able to talk to each other and the experts about why we're going to continue seeing things that we're going to have to react to and adjust to as the experts are trying to understand the Delta variant and the continuing pandemic that we're still in.
Justin.
Yeah, for Tom Brady, I think of an old Biggie Smalls lyric. Even when I was wrong, I got my point across. Now, he was wrong, but the point is financial literacy and financial knowledge in so many walks of life and in so many different industries. Employees don't truly understand the breakdown of the financial complexities that go into these organizations and foundations that Tim just broke down. Now, in terms of Jimmy Graham, I understand the frustration. I understand the confusion because, like Sarah said, we all are in some way or some fashion. And, I think he has a right to feel a certain way about a 17th game. I don't know any NFL player that is really excited about playing the 17th game. So when looking at Brady and when looking at Graham, I think this all goes back to the NFLPA. They need to do a better job at not only negotiation, but education of their players as well.
George Sedano.
Tony, I think all of us on these shows can relate to being Tom Brady in this situation. We've all been loud wrong before. When you go out there and call people ignorant and then you get all the information wrong and you have to delete said Instagram post, you don't necessarily look so great in that situation. And you know what? I know he's the GOAT, but, even the GOAT gets one wrong every once in a while. But in regards to Graham, I think everyone here has nailed it for sure. Here's the thing. In the NBA, Tony, the league I cover very closely, when guys were told to get the vaccine, they were told that they would have less restrictions about them. And to Tim's point earlier, the NFL, this situation has been a little murky in regards to what guys can do and can't do. There needs to be some real information put down on paper, black and white, so everybody can follow the same protocols, whether they're vaccinated and then
so you
different
understand
protocols
Jimmy
for the
Graham's
unvaccinated.
frustration here and the frustration.
Yeah, 100%. Who wouldn't?
Okay. One more story here. The history we're about to see on the track. Allison Felix in position now to do the inconceivable. Pass Carl Lewis's 11 track and field medals. It's a possibility with the relay coming up. Today, the 400 meter Shawnee Miller-Weibo defending her gold, a glorious run, no dive at the line this time, and Allison Felix winning bronze. Felix ran 49.46. It's her fastest run since 2015, which was hello before she gave birth to her daughter. What did Allison Felix just do, Sarah Spade?
It's incredible. What she did on the track alone is incredible. In a sport like track and field, to be in 5 different Olympics and medal in all of them. It's not like she gathered up these Olympics 5 at a time in one event. She, over the course of that stretch, has been as dominant as we've seen on the women's side. In addition to that, she survived a life-threatening pregnancy. She testified in Congress about maternal mortality. She fought Nike until they changed their maternity policy. And she set into place an example for women that after having a baby, you can be as good as before and you are deserving of the same respect and contracts as before, something that's inspired a whole bunch of other women to go out and get theirs. So bow down to the queen.
Justin Tinsley.
I mean, just more of that. I think the dopest thing about that race last night, I mean, she really cut it on in the last 20 meters, but she won it in her own shoe. Like, that's a boss move. And everything she does on the track is incredible. But I really love the partnership with Athleta, and that really supports Olympic moms and gives them money for childcare. I think that she's just a titan in so many walks of life and social justice. And I know she has 10 and she's tied with Carl Lewis. She may get another one tonight. But I put her ahead of Carl Lewis because I haven't heard her sing the national anthem, but I'm pretty sure she's better at Carl Lewis than me.
George Sedano.
Tony, it's about legacy here. Not only what she's done on the field, but as Sarah alluded to, with equality for women. And the one thing that's always stuck out with me is when she loses a race, right? Like, she's always shown such great sportsmanship. She always congratulates the winner. She's not there pouting or, being upset about her situation. She's going out there making sure to congratulate the person that actually won.
And Tim Cowlishaw.
I think she made her country proud and moms proud just when she showed up and made this Olympic team after first going to the Olympics in 2004. And now she's winning these medals and catching up with Carl Lewis. That's royalty right there when you're doing that.
Sustained level of excellence, though, in that 20 years being in Olympic shape and being in the best in your field. And we saw it somewhere else. I need to give some shine to the great Christine Sinclair, the OG, which is actually the OC in Canada, finally gold in Canada over Sweden in a thrilling gold medal soccer game. And Quinn, the first publicly out non-binary trans athlete to medal, their triumph as well. See it, be it, Quinn. And then one more, Gable Stevenson. We can't show you the video because of rules, but find the video. Stevenson winning the gold in wrestling, not in the last seconds. In the last milliseconds, had 2 takedowns in the last 20 seconds. There is no comeback you'll ever see better than this one, and it was worth the flip he gave us at the end. Legend status achieved for Gable. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Around the Horn is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need.
The best record in baseball over the last month, anybody? The New York Yankees. Look at this moonshot from Joey Gallo. Oh, launch angle 48%. 48. Yes, George, all right, you'll get your point again. Sarah had it before, too. Highest they've ever tracked for the Yankees in those 15 years they've been tracking that. 6-1 since this team went full Paisan, Gallo and Rizzo, but against the Orioles, Marlins, and Mariners. Why are you guys looking at me like that? George, buy or sell this Yankees renaissance, and by that, of course, I mean this Italian renaissance we got going on over here.
Tony, of course I'm buying it. I actually talked about this at the trade deadline, and you dinged me for it then, and I don't have enough points now, so you might as well ding me for it again. I should get some of those points back.
No, self-promotion is the mating call of the mute button, Sedano. You know that. Give me your answer here before you get...
Okay, the Yankees are hot right now. They're 13-6 since the All-Star break, 6-1 as you mentioned with these two guys. They're right on the precipice of catching the Oakland A's. They can make the playoffs with Boston kind of slumping a little bit. The Yankees may be able to surge it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to buy it too. That lineup, they're just so huge. You don't want to get in a brawl with them with Stanton and Judge and Gallo in the outfield. That's ridiculous. Even if that home run looked more like a drive on a par 5, Gallo's very excited to be there and to be part of that.
Sarah Spain, how much of this is a Yankees renaissance? How much is the opponents they played the last 2 weeks or so?
Yeah, I'm going to sell this because we're still in the dark ages over here watching Rizzo look like Michelangelo's David hitting 333 for them. And meanwhile, you've got the other Paisan here hitting a home run that could hit the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. So yeah, great renaissance for them. The rest of us struggling a little bit over here, Tony. But you're going to look at the Blue Jays and the Red Sox beating each other up for a little bit here. Maybe they'll take each other down a notch. And you've got Yankees looking as good as they do. They've got a good shot at it
JT?
now.
Yeah, I'm buying it. Now, of note, they only have 9 games left in the season, 6 against Boston, 3 against Tampa Bay, but they're hot right now, and they're looking really good. And that was a moonshot from Gallo, man. Like, the only thing higher than that was Snoop Dogg's Great Olympics Cup. It's Great Olympics Cup. That thing was high. I don't even think it's come down yet.
Light one up there, Justin Tinsley. All right, we'll move on. Fire sells to what is going on with the New York Giants. 3 Giants players showed up this week for camp, and during the week decided to retire rather than play. And add Kelvin Benjamin earlier in the camp, who made it one day and then retired. So 4 retirees this week at a brawl. This week they were running laps, although that of course happens at camp. Tim, coincidence or something going on with Joe Judge's Giants?
There's something going on. I think we can accept that some players are going to retire a little earlier when they look at their lives and everything else going on in the world. But when it's 4 on one team and they had a brawl and Joe Judge really tries to be this tough mentality, I think there's something not good going on in
Dara Spain?
I'm tempted to say where there's smoke, there's fire. We know Kelvin Benjamin didn't leave because he was ready to go. It was because of a spat with Judge. You add in the punishment for the brawl and everything, but I'm tempted to suggest that until we truly know otherwise, this is more likely guys that finally got into the real heat of training camp and thought to themselves, I just don't know if my body's going to do it. That's what they're telling us on their way out. So there's no reason not to believe them as of now.
I don't want to assume, especially with the conversation around vaccines and COVID protocols in the NFL, I don't want to assume that, but it's not a good look. It also reminds me of a time when I was working as a server back in my early 20s. I had 3 coworkers quit in the same week, and my manager came up to me and asked, why do you think they quit? And I was like, they quit because they don't like you, bro. And it was just the biggest feeling of dejection. I don't know what happened to that guy after that. But his name was Tony. Believe it or not.
Don't put me with him. Come on now. George Sedano.
Everybody wants the next Bill Parcells or wants to be the next Bill Parcells, but the difference was Bill Parcells knew how to connect with his players, Tony. For as tough as he was on the exterior, he knew how to connect on the interior. I do believe where there's smoke, there's fire here. And you know what? For these guys, you collide for a living. You don't need this nonsense. You've made enough money. It's time to go. You don't want to deal with him? Go ahead, leave.
Much smoke, not enough fire for you today, George. But that shirt you're wearing is fire. Let me see it in all its glory. I know what this is. Sedano and LZ. What is today, George?
Sedano and LZ. It is LZ Granderson's last day at ESPN after 17 years. He's had a great career. He's been a fun radio partner for the last 5 years for me, and an even better friend.
Yeah.
So,
and a great partner for us here at Around the Horn.
Shout out LZ.
Shout out to LZ. Career win percentage on this show, 28%. 1-0 against Tim Cowlishaw, LZ. There you go.
That happened.
Tim versus Tim.